Hey everybody, Sunday afternoon. Thought I'd go live, talk about how to beat Friday the 13th for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This was made years ago, back in the 80s, by LJN, who is notorious for making horrible video game adaptations of movies. Anyway, yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this new game that came out, and now people are kind of talking about the old Nintendo game again. Well, I'm going to give you my tips on how to beat that game. It took me over 20 years to do it. I'm going to give a little bit of back history. Don't want to draw it out, but this eventually does contribute to my point I'm getting ready to get to. I got that game when it first came out. I'll never forget, my mom and stepdad, we were at Paducah Mall. I saw that game, and I begged her. I was like, "Can you please get it?" It was horror, so I didn't care, nothing. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw it was Jason, and I had to have it. And I went home, and I was sitting in the dark playing it. First off, the music is killer. It's got that cabin theme. I actually did a remake of it. I'm going to do another one probably. Some of the best game music ever. Anyway, I remember sitting there in the dark playing at 8 years old, and I went in one of the cabins, and like I said, I was like 8 years old. I remember I couldn't get out of this damn cabin. And now I've got it, I know how to get around those cabins, no problem. But anyway, I get so frustrated, I just reset the game. I bet I spent 30 minutes or so in just one of those cabins. Anyway, so this game, amongst my circle of friends, it was, a beloved game. We all love this game. Like, I know everyone else hates it. Like I said, it's because they probably don't know how to play it. And I'm going to get to that. So, for years, we all talked about how hard this game was, and we didn't think there was an end to it. We thought that there was no way to beat it, because after you kill Jason, it appears that you just start over the game over again, but that's not the case. And I remember one time we found out my friend Jason McDonald had beat it, and this was years later. I was in my early 20s. I bought a 30-pack of Keystone Light, and me and a friend sat down with him and tried to make him beat that for us again, but he couldn't do it. So, anyway, long history wanting to beat that game. A couple years ago, actually, no, it's been a few years ago, I got a Nintendo emulator on my phone. I was like, I'm going to beat this damn game. It's been over 20 years trying off and on. So I got to reading up on it, and I finally figured out how to play this game. So here we go. Here's how I beat Friday the 13th for the Nintendo, which is notoriously hard. Okay. Well, for a lot of people, I know it's hard. Okay, first off, well, let's see how to start this off. There's a saying, you need to get the torch. There's a fast way to get the torch. That and the pitchforks, the two ways the two things you got to have to kill Jason easily. There's a quick way to get it. I'm not doing this out of laziness. I'm going to say this because I forgot, because it's been so long since I've done it. Google the quick torch method for this game, and it'll tell you how to get. It's not really a cheat. It's a very specific set of movements and locations to do, and you end up out in the woods, and then you end up back at a cabin and you get the torch. It's the quickest way to get it, but it's very specific, all these things you got to do. Other than that, the other way to get it right off the bat is you got to light every fireplace in the cabins, the big cabins with the fireplace. You have to light every one of those, and then the torch will appear in one of the cabins by the lake. Now, whenever you're playing this game, you want to be killing as many of these enemies, the zombies and shit, as you can, and you want to be jumping. The more you jump, the more items pop up. You're going to want to start the game with Mark, and you want to get as many energy tanks as you can. Hang on to Mark. Everyone else in that game sucks. Once he dies, just reset it and try again. Get these energy tanks. Go every part of the game you go to. Jump, 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 kill and jump, jump. Just keep jump through till you collect all the energy tanks. You're gonna know, because there's only a couple of them in each area of the game, but you can get enough on that first level to make it through the game. Because as the levels go on, by the way, there are 3 levels. They get harder and harder to come by. Now, the difference in levels, like once you kill Jason, like I said, me and my friends thought there was no end to the game, that you couldn't really beat it. Thing is, the levels are the exact same, except for the enemies are faster. This includes Jason and his mom's head and all that. So, collect all these tanks you can. First thing I do is I go and I light every fireplace, and it sucks because, and I just go through the screen. Like, if I start here, I light them here, then I'll go to the cave area, light all of them, just whatever. Just make sure they all get lit. And it sucks because then Jason will be killing kids, and you gotta remember, okay, these are the ones I lit, and these are the ones I didn't. But you just gotta keep note of it. So you gotta fight Jason, and try to get these energy tanks, and light all the fireplaces, and get that torch in the first level. This is key. This is crucial. I would say at night, and try and jump and get those energy tanks before night, because there's more enemies out at night, and then that's more damage you're going to hit, which is more of a risk of you just losing the game. Because like I said, once Mark dies, forget it. Start over. At least I would, because it's too much work trying to give weapons to other counselors and do all this other horse shit. Just when it comes to Jason's mom's head, you fight her in the cave. You don't need the flashlight to find where she's at in the cave. If you're walking through that cave, you're going to see, it's a rock path, you're going to see a little bitty indention. You go left a little ways, you're going to hop a couple times off some ledges, but you're going to see this little bitty indention. Hit up, and that's the doorway to her cave. You got to have a key to get in there, so make sure you've collected a key. But anyway, it's not worth it on the first level. You just get a machete, okay? Not worth it. You're gonna die for a machete. You could have the torch, the one of the best weapons in the game, way faster and easier than trying to fight his mom's head for a damn machete that's almost worthless compared to the torch and the pitchfork. So anyway, first level. Sorry I keep recapping this, but it's important. Get all the energy tanks you can. Get that torch. Second level. Once you beat Jason, which he does the same. Once you play him enough, you get to you learn how, like, I don't know how to describe it, but I just know when he's going to do the 2 hits, because he'll be walking around doing those things, and sometimes he'll swing at you once. Well, sometimes it's twice, and I just know. I don't know the exact pattern, or I just get it. I just know when it's going to happen. I guess I'm just like psychically linked to this game. But anyway, you really want to observe him, because in his movements and trying to figure out when he'll do the 2 hits. That's going to come in use later. Okay, anyway, you beat him the first time. Day 2, hopefully you still got plenty of energy tanks. You got your torch and all that. This is when you might want to risk fighting Jason's mom's decapitated head out in the cave. That's a phrase I never thought I'd ever say in my life. Because you'll get the sweater. And what the sweater does is it decreases the amount of damage you take from the enemies in Jason. It's really helpful. I'd say practice up on his mom's head, though, because to me she's harder than Jason. She's kind of got her own patterns too, but I think she's way harder to dodge than Jason is. So I go out there to the cave. I'd get some practice in on her. That way you can get that sweater without taking too much damage. Okay. Second stage, you're gonna notice all the enemies are faster. Jason is faster. Still, I mean he's harder, but that's the main thing, is they're just quicker. So it's, you're not gonna find as many energy tanks, and so basically it's the same thing. If you're good at beating his mom's head, take the risk and get the sweater. If not, it might not be worth it to you. So round 2, things are just a little bit faster. So you beat Jason again. Day 3, everybody is like cranked on meth. This is what these enemies are like. I mean, they are like warp speed, especially Jason. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's like when they throw the Millennium Falcon into hyperspace, except for it's a, killer. I mean, he's just nuts. And so enemies are faster, less energy tanks. Now, Jason's mom's head, the 3rd day, and this is the final stage, you can get the pitchfork if you go and fight her. Now, if you've got the torch, I don't know, the pitchfork's cool because when you throw it across the screen, once it hits an enemy, that's not it. It takes out everything on that screen, so it's cool. But is it worth the risk? I don't know. I mean, the torch is going to do the job. They're both got the same amount of damage on him. I mean, every time you hit him with the torch, you drop a bar of his life, and that's with the pitchfork. Anything else, you've got to like hit him a gazillion times before he'll, before the bars of his energy start coming off. So, if you're good at beating his mom's head and you want to play with the pitchfork, go for it. I personally just try to stick with the torch most of the time because, like I said, it does the same amount of damage. Now, when you get to Jason, on this third level, you have got to be on your game with knowing those movements. I mean, because like I said, he is just a maniac. It's like, I mean, it's like he's like consumed an entire meth lab or something. He's just berserk. So you really, if what I do is I try to get, what part of the screen is it I get to? I think I usually hang out like instead, you know, because you're facing him head on, and when he's in the cabin, I always forget about when he's on the trail. That's hard because you gotta try and jump over him and the machete he's throwing, and I always encounter him in the cabins when I beat this game usually. So anyway, you're facing dead on. Like usually, you know, we see a lot of people stay in the center. I'm trying to think what I do. Do I stay in the center or do I move over to the left a little bit? I think I keep Mark over to the left just a little bit because it helps me with the way he moves back and forth. And you want to be really good with hitting down and the side button at the same time. You got to really have that mastered because you're going to want to dodge. And like I said, you want to memorize those patterns. Adam, that third day, he's cracked out. He's fast as hell. So, what I would do for anyone who's really serious about beating this game, because I finally beat it for the first time on my phone on an emulator, and it took me 2 guys. I've beat it before one time using only one guy. And that's fairly hard to do. And if I hadn't read up some on eventually how to play this game, I probably would never beat it. So I didn't really use too much of a walkthrough, except for I learned that quick torch method. I just kind of figured out the mechanics of the game and practiced a lot. So it takes a lot of practice on this to memorize how Jason moves. And so, like I said, I'm going to recap this real quick and get off here. I know I've said the same shit a million times, but it's crucial you get this in your head if you want to beat this game. First level, get as many energy tanks as you can and get that torch. So first level, concentrate on killing as many enemies as you can and jumping throughout the whole thing to make those energy tanks pop up. Don't do it at night because there's more enemies and you'll screw yourself over. Get all those cabins, fireplaces lit, and get to one of the cabins by the lake and get your torch. Beat that. Second level, if you're good at beating his mom's head, get the sweater. If not, keep trucking. Third level, make sure you know how Jason moves. And get ready to do a lot of dodging and hit when you can. Take your time. Hit when you got a clear shot. Some people, you know, they just kind of go for it nuts. It's all about dodging him and planning that attack. So anyway, that's some tips on how to beat Friday the 13th for the Nintendo Entertainment System.